I'm going to walk you through an example of using inheritance in Java. So say I'm just going to use some embedded inner classes just for simplicity. Technically, normally your classes will be in their own files, but just to make this example more easily, I'm going to define these classes within the main class here. And to do that, they need to be static. Keyword class. And let's say we have a square class. So the square class, let's give it one attribute. The length of one side of the class. Let's give it another attribute of let's give it a color. Let's just make it a string. Let's also give it a name for fun, because we like to name our squares. All right, and as a class, you need to have a constructor. No return type, same name as the class. And let's pass in as parameters to that constructor the length, color, and the name. So we just initialize everything. We're just going to initialize those member variables to what's passed in the constructor. Let's also provide an accessor to get the length. Oops. That just returns the length. Also provide an accessor for the color. And a last accessor for the name. All right, so now we have a really basic class, square. Up here we can create an object of type square, where let's just call it square equals new. Call the constructor, give it a length of 5, say it's green, and the square's name is going to be Bob. So now we can access, using those accessors, get some of those attributes out of that class. So just for fun, let's do a print. And voila. So we did all this. Let's say we had another class. Public static. Let's call this one a circle. Forgot the class keyword. Now circle is going to have some of the same attributes. It's not going to have a length, but instead it's going to have, let's say, a circumference. But it's also going to have a color and a name. So in this case, it might make sense to have a superclass that these both can inherit from, that so you don't have to repeat any logic. You can just have it in one spot. Let's create that. Let's leave circle alone for a second. Create another class and call this, let's call it shape. And in our shape class, we're going to have these two attributes. I'm just going to copy them. We need a constructor. And this constructor, since a shape only has a color and a name, we're just going to pass those in. Set the color to the color that's passed in. And then using the extend keyword, extends, we say that the circle class extends the shape class. So now the circle class is going to inherit all of the properties, methods, members of the shape class. So for instance, these getters, you can put in the shape class. Oops. Fix that. And if we make square also extends shape, we can get rid of these guys because they're implemented by the base class of shape. Now it's complaining probably because we're not calling the super constructor. So the square class extends shape. So this class is going to inherit all the methods and properties of the shape class. And in the constructor, we need to call the base class constructor. And that's done with just the super keyword. And like you're calling the constructor, you just pass it the parameters it's expecting, which the shape class is expecting color and name. So we call super color and name. Also means we don't need this or this. These members are now part of the base class. So now our square class that extends shape only has one attribute, length, beyond what it's getting for free from the shape class, and only has the one accessor, get length. The constructor calls the base class constructor and passes color and name to it. And then we need to do the same thing for the circle class. Give it a constructor. I did color first. Again, we'll need to call the superclass constructor. That's it, color and name. And then the circle class's circumference member. I misspelled that. And I need to reference this. So the member of the class. And let's provide an accessor. All right. So just to go back over this real quick, I've got 3 classes now. I've got a square class that extends shape, a circle class that extends shape. The square class has one member variable, length. The circle class has one member variable, circumference. And then the shape class has 2 member variables, color and name. And everybody's got accessors for everything. So now, if you look, when I run this, so I create a square, pass it all 3 parameters, and print out the length using the accessor. I get the length of 5. We can, same way, we can declare a circle. Let's give it a circumference of 10. Make it blue. And call it N. And I can print out something from that. So in the square example, I use the accessor from the square class. But in this case, let's print out the name of the circle. And that's a little interesting because the circle class does not have a get name. But I can call circle.getName. And when I run this, you see the name that prints is add. So the circle class, though it doesn't have a get name, it inherits from the shape class. And the shape class has a method called get name. So that is the basics of inheritance. You can do a lot with it. You got to play around with a little bit to get more comfortable with it. But a very powerful tool that Java has.